Today is the 15th anniversary of Neptune Spear, the U.S. Special Operations raid that killed Osama bin Laden. Joining me now is the man who commanded that mission, retired four-star U.S. Navy Admiral William McRaven. 37 years as a Navy SEAL, he rose to the commander of all U.S. Special Operations Forces, and you'll remember Admiral McRaven for his famous Make Your Bed speech at the University of Texas that now has over 150 million views online and is, of course, a best-selling book. He's a New York Times best-selling author several times over, and he's written a new book, Duty, Honor, Country, and Life, a tribute to the American spirit. Admiral, great to see you. This is a book that's a collection of thoughts and speeches and poems. It includes a speech that you delivered in support of the Boy Scouts that really stands out, especially on this day, because with regard to the planning of the bin Laden mission, you single out Secretary Robert Gates for his courage for a very interesting reason. Why?
Yeah, well, first, Michael, great to be with you. You know, as we were debating the mission to get bin Laden to do the raid, the president would, at the end of the day, at the end of the session, go around the room, and Secretary Gates was never in favor of the raid. And I remember at one point in time, after we had our session, we went outside the Situation Room, and I pulled the secretary aside and I said, "Mr. Secretary, I work for you. You know, if you don't want me to advocate for the raid, I won't do it." And this point of great integrity was, he turned to me and he said, "Bill, you have an obligation to give the President of the United States your best military advice, and that's what I expect you to do." He says, "Look, I was, scarred a little bit by what happened during Desert One, because he was in the White House at the time." He says, "But right now, you give the President your best military advice, and I'll give him my best advice as a secretary, and they don't always have to align."
You say in the book, "I remain convinced to this day that the courage exhibited by the secretary to let his subordinate brief a mission he was opposed to may be one of the most unselfish and honorable things I witnessed in my time in the military." Why did you write the new book, Admiral? What is it you wanted to most convey?
Well, the book, of course, the title, Duty, Honor, Country, as you know, Michael, comes from MacArthur's great speech at West Point in 1962. And he talks about these three words, and he says, duty, honor, country. He says, these three hallowed words are what you ought to be, what you can be, and what you will be. He says they're the rallying point to build courage when courage seems to fail, to regain faith when faith is lost, and to give you hope when hope is forlorn. So this book really is about courage, faith, and hope. It is at a time when I think the American people are struggling with their belief in America. And I will tell you, I spend a lot of time with the youth of America. I teach at the LBJ School at the University of Texas. I travel the country. I have great optimism about the future of this country. It's going to be hard. As we come up on 250 years, it's been hard getting here. It's going to be hard to keep this going. But I will tell you, there are great people out there that are doing remarkable things. And this book, I hope, will inspire people who read it to realize that, we're doing just fine, and we're going to be okay if we just keep fighting for our democracy.
Admiral McRaven, you're a man of so many talents, including that of poetry. Do you have a copy of the book handy? And if so, turn to page 90, because I made a full screen of page 90 of the book. And let me just say, this is a poem called I Remember. And as you describe, a tough poem to write. It is angry. It is regretful. It is filled with fear and loss, but it is also filled with an unwavering respect and admiration for all those who served and those who gave their full measure. If you could pick it up on page 90 and offer whatever explanation you think necessary, I'd love it if you'd read aloud.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. This was a poem, as you said, that was a little hard for me to write. I was a little angry because there is a print that I have in my office that I look at every day, and it's soldiers about to go into a house in Ramadi. And I had been on a lot of those missions, although past my operator's time, but I could feel that mission as I look at that print. And the guys are about to go into an enemy house. There's a helicopter coming down the road. There's a Pander vehicle in the back. There's a dog on a leash. It is hot. It is dusty. And it brought me back to Iraq and the incredible sacrifice of not just the soldiers, but the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, the foreign service officers, the intelligence professionals, everybody that served there. But this is what I wrote on the last page. It says, I remember the letters that I had to write to those soldiers that were killed. I remember the letters written again and again and again and again. When will the letters stop? Why are they so young and stoic and brave and caring? What will I say this time? I remember the sorrow. I remember the sorrow. The sound of taps on the hillside, covered with the graves of heroes. The tearful widow, a weeping child, a folded flag. I remember the sorrow so clearly. Their shadows grow dim, and I fight to remember. Their stories grow old, and I must fight to remember. They gave everything. The least I can do is remember. I remember, I must always remember.
It's beautiful. The book is terrific. I'm appreciative. And I'm grateful that on this 15th anniversary of just an incredible mission that you commanded, that you're joining us. I wish you good things, Admiral, with the book. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Michael.
Still to come.